All right, good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Great. Enjoying those pretzels and snacks and everything. So thank you for staying in the afternoon. I know some people get tired, you get sleepy, and we've learned a lot, so I appreciate you coming in. I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is implementing the 4 C's into STEM, a blind Kahoot. Who has heard of a Kahoot before? So most teachers have heard of Kahoots. And a few years ago, I came across an article or an online post, and it was a blind Kahoot. So a blind Kahoot basically is you don't know the topic, and you learn the topic as you go. And the students seem to really enjoy these. So my philosophy was, if you can't beat them, join them. So the students love games. So I started implementing games into the classroom maybe 10 or so years ago. I can't remember when, but when games became more and more popular in the classroom is when I implemented them. And so Blind Kahoot was one of those that I did. All right, so my name is Dr. Terri Holmes, and I'm a recent Dr. Terri Holmes as of a few months ago. So I had my graduation ceremony May 5th, which is a few weeks ago. So thank you. And I still have my notes because I get off track. So I'm from Hamilton County Schools. This is my 20th year in education. I started here in Nashville my first 3 years, and then my other 17 years have been in Chattanooga, where I was born and raised. I teach at Howard Connect Academy, and I'm the STEM teacher. I've been the STEM teacher there for 2 years. This is my 3rd year teaching STEM. So my background is math and science, and I was one of those pioneers. Like the first iPad that came out, I had it. The first Elmo, I think we called them Elmos, document cameras. I bought one on eBay, so that was a long time ago. So I wanted one really bad, and schools don't have money, so I got an Elmo and iPads, and I wrote grants to get different technology. So I was like that technology person pioneer at the school. All right, so real quick, introduce yourself to someone near you, or if you know them, tell them something about you that they may not know. Your middle name, your favorite sport, or something like that. So take about 30 seconds, introduce yourselves, or something they may not know.
Question for tomorrow. What your topic is not what we signed up for, but it's the right room we're in. So we're just confused for tomorrow.
I'm just today.
Right, but what you're implementing the 4 C's online. This is 21st century skills.
That's the 4 C's. Sorry. All right. All right. All right, so thank you. All right, so let's bring it back together. Hopefully you met a new person or you found out something you didn't know about your neighbors or the people that you work with. All right, how many rural area schools do we have, or rural teachers? Or what would be considered rural? Maybe urban, or to me, that would be Chattanooga, Memphis, Knoxville, Nashville area, I guess. All right. What about years of experience? 1 to 5 years of experience? 6 to 10? 11 to 16 or so? 16 to 25? 25 or more? All right, so that's a wide range of educators in the room. And I saw a quote that said, we're teaching, a lot of us, it's hard to teach if we didn't learn in the 21st century. So a lot of the students that we're teaching, my daughter, she's in 7th grade, like she was born in the 2000s. And sometimes it's hard to connect with our students depending on when the computer came out, when we started learning, if we hadn't been in school in a while. So it's hard to make those connections. Even for me, I call myself like an old school teacher. So it's been hard for me to really make that transition to the technology. Even though I was into it, it's like, why are we doing this? And why do we need to change? And it's difficult, but I'm really pushing through to try to get there. All right, so we're gonna attempt this blind Kahoot. All right, so grab your device. It can be a phone or a tablet. It's Kahoot.it. And my buddy Chris back here is going to coordinate us moving back and forth. And I thought about, as you're logging in, I'll tell him to switch in just a second. It's an unfamiliar topic, as I mentioned. And if you're concerned about the word blind Kahoot, because we want to be inclusive and have equity for everyone, you can adjust the name if that is a issue in your particular school. But it may or may not be. But you can give it another fancy title. All right, Chris, can you flip it to the... So there's the game pin. So once you get to the pin, it only lets in 40 people, so you kind of got to be quick. So I have the free version, so I didn't bump it up. I think it's $3.99 per month if you get the next one up, but this is the free version. So the game pin, and we'll see if it stops at 40 or lets us go past. Oh, I see 41. Maybe it'll let us go back. All right. And what I do in my classroom is we'll do first names only. So you have to have a system or you'll get all kind of names and all kind of emojis and everything else. So we do first names only in class. And then, is it 50? I think it might have cut us off at 50. All right. All right, so again, first names only, and there's also a random generator if you wanted to randomly generate the names just for equity. So some students, when they're always first, because that's what I had the issue with this game, or they're always last, that could be an issue. So if you do random names, you can see, you know who does what, and the kids may not be as intimidated to play. All right, Chris, can you hit start, please? So our first question. Can you put the music on if it'll play? What are the 4 C's in relation to STEM? And I set it to 20 seconds. This, if you hadn't played in a while, you can set it up to, I think, 1.5 minutes. Oh, I'll read the next one. It's out of time at this point. All right. Chris, can you flip back to the... So what it is, you flip back and forth. So critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration are considered the main 4 C's. So some people add, I like to add in choice and community and other ones, but those are the 4 main ones. It's not next, it's just not next like the slides. All right. All right, so communication. The goal is to get students talking to each other about problem solving. So in the STEM classroom or in your just everyday classroom, which I forgot to ask, like what, okay, so does everybody teach a STEM class? So science, math, ELA or reading, history, or, so, and somebody say all. So, okay, all, okay. I'm sorry, I'm used to middle school. So if you teach them all, so the goal is to get the students just talking to each other about problem solving. Critical thinking, to me, is students deeply pondering and wondering about why of what's happening. And I noticed that my middle schoolers, by the time they've gotten to middle school, sometimes that creativity, that collaboration, they already know who they want to work with, who will work, who won't work, and they pick and choose their groups based on that. And the collaboration, we want them to be fair and positive to try to solve problems. And then creativity is crafting ways to solve those problems. And sometimes that's hard to do if you teach all 4 subjects, or if you're siloed like in middle school where you teach just the 1 or maybe 2 subjects. So these are the 4 main C's in 21st century skills for getting students to do these main 4. There are others, but these are the main 4. Let me make sure I'm on my notes here. Sorry about that. All right, so podcasts are one thing that helps with communication. That could be, so communication can be visual, It could be just talking to each other. It could be a video that the students make. And what I found fascinating is the students will love to look at videos, but when you ask them to make a video, they don't like to make a video. My students anyway. It's like you're asking them to like change the whole world. So podcasting, to me, I just fell in love with podcasts. So I was like, well, what is a podcast? Why is everybody all fascinated with podcasts? So I was like, well, let me listen to a podcast that focuses on STEM and just see what it talks about. And it was life changing, like mind blown. And it was talking about how cats, if you bring a cat to an island, it can ruin the whole island's ecosystem because it eats the birds' eggs, and you need the birds to keep the island going and the plants. And it was just so intriguing to me. And I'm a science nerd, but it was so amazing. And it was like a 20-minute podcast about islands and birds and cats. And then I listened to another one, and I explored. But podcasting, and students like to share. It's just getting them to share and ways to share. So podcasting is one. And then, sorry, I'm kind of off on my slides there, but podcasting can be Flip. If you heard of Flip, it used to be Flipgrid, and they changed it to Flip so that they can make a video from it, which to me is basically a podcast just with the scene, or you can be seen. Adobe Podcast, if you heard of Adobe products, they have a podcasting that's out in beta, so you can go to their site and then get access to it. And they send you an email back. Or GarageBand, if you're an iPad school. Me and my daughter were sitting around one evening and we did a podcast on what it's like to be a middle schooler. So I came up with some questions and I asked her and she answered back. And I added some music to the beginning and some to the end. And it was a podcast. And that's really powerful for students to hear their voices and share it with other students. So if they have a project, a quarter project or a unit project, they could do a podcast. It could be a student's job to do a podcast. Like, your job is our podcaster. So once a month, you make the podcast, and we'll put it on our school social media or somewhere just to get that out there. And that's what a lot of students, I'm not sure about elementary, but I'm thinking it's trickling down to elementary, 3rd, 4th, and 5th are really into online. And I think, like, we take the technology away from students, but I think we should teach them how to use it and really model that. Like, TikTok and all that, I don't think it's going anywhere. So we need to try to move it into education, in my opinion. But I know a lot of times we fault the technology for a lot of things that's going on, but we got to move it to a positive thing. And this other one is speak, tweak, and speak. So I talk really fast, so I have to slow down a little bit. And then students will also speak in text speak and their vernacular and how we speak. And I know I talk to other people and we sound really Southern when we talk, and then our accent, and we get self-conscious about it. So this strategy is just talk to your group mates and your regular, however you would like to speak, and then get their feedback and how to improve their presentation. And then go back and take that feedback and kind of review it, kind of redo your presentation, and just represent your ideas using that feedback and other resources. So maybe listen to a video, watch a video about how to speak, how to do a speech, and so forth. So both of those can help with students' communication, because we want them to be able to get up in front of a crowd or in front of their parents or the community and talk about their projects that they do in class. All right, Chris, can you switch it back? So the thing about this is you got to get back onto your phone and make sure the screen is still there. Can you click next? So sorry if your phone kicked you out. Can you click next again? So a visual or audio platform used to communicate information about a topic, a projector, podcast, or presentation in person. A visual or audio platform used to communicate information about a topic, projector, podcast, presentation in person. All right, so that would be a podcast. So we kind of talked about the topic, and then you have a question, and that's how you build up your blind Kahoot. All right, can you click next? Next again. Founded in 2005, this platform has over 1 billion views online daily. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Founded in 2005, this platform has over 1 billion views online daily. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. All right, it was YouTube. So YouTube was founded in 2005, and it gets over 1 billion views daily. So again, okay, presentate the slides. All right. So again, the online, I don't think it's going anywhere unless the power just shut off and they turn off the internet. It's not going anywhere. So students are watching YouTube. I tell them every day, get off the computer, get off the computer, get off the computer, get off the computer, or get off TikTok. I had a TikTok channel when it first came out. No, 2010. And so I did hair videos. That was my thing. And it was before you had like the influencers and the backgrounds. And I was just making videos in the bathroom and complaining about different things going on with my hair. So that was, so TikTok, YouTube has been around for a while. I didn't get into the newer platforms because there's so much to take care of, but I need to get back on YouTube and do an update video. It has been a while. All right. The next one is creativity. And so we think of creativity not only in art projects, like, and sometimes students think, well, I'm not creative enough, or I don't know how to be creative. So two strategies there could be what if, and it was, and what is it now? So what if is basically just posing a what if question. So thought-provoking, related to something in their lives or their community. For example, what if the power had to be cut for 4 hours each day during daylight hours? And that happens to some people in the world. So they maybe can help solve their problem, or what they could do about that, or in that meantime. So just what if, and they could come up with their own questions, just a what if question. And it may seem pretty basic, but sometimes the students don't stop for a second and think about, well, what if this changed, or what if this did happen? And then discuss in pairs or groups ways to solve that problem. So just different what if questions. And then was now could be, well, look at an image, item, or anything that students have and change something about it. It can change the color of it, the texture, how big or small it is, how you use it. So how it was, and then once you change it, what is it now? And then have a discussion about that. It could be, and they can compare it, they can bring it up and show it. How does changing the color of it, make a difference? Is it camouflaged? Is it just anything that could make it different from what it was? And that helps the students see, I can be creative. Just changing something is being creative or having creativity. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot. All right. Keep going. All right. Can you go back to the game, please? Next. So grab your phones again or your device. And sorry if you didn't have time. Some students sometimes assume you are born with this, and either you're good at it or you're not. Creativity, playing a sport, math, getting good grades. Students sometimes assume you are born with this, and either you're good at it or you're not. Creativity, playing a sport, math, getting good grades. And that one was creativity. So those can be assumptions, but since we're talking about the 4 C's, it would be creativity. But like, again, with those two strategies, just changing something or asking what if questions and coming up with those solutions can show that you are creative. All right, next. Next. What are the 4 C's in relation to STEM? Red is communication, community, choice, celebrate. Blue, choice, communication, creativity, community. Yellow, critical thinking, collaboration, celebrating. Green, critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration. Sorry. And so in a blind Kahoot, you repeat the question kind of that you do throughout. So this was the first question, so you bring it back in to see if the students remember it, know what you said. can keep it in their memory. And to me, through a game style, you remember it maybe a little bit better. Maybe not long term, but you remember it right then for the most part. All right, slides, please. All right, so collaboration is more than group work. So group work is something that a lot of teachers, including myself, is just help us, or I just can't do it anymore. But they do need that collaboration, and it is more than group work. So this quote is, collaboration allows us to do more than we are capable of knowing by ourselves. And to me, we're kind of living in I can do it on my own. I have a lot of students who look, can I just work on my own? I know what will happen if I get in a group, or if you put me in a group with these people, I'll do all the work, or certain students aren't brought into the group. So collaboration and group work, or having students working together, sometimes can be difficult. So 2 strategies there are not just me and won't you be my neighbor, or is another strategy there to encourage students to collaborate. All right, so not just me is basically having students think. So a lot of times, sometimes we put the students into groups for however we decide to put them into groups, or we let them choose. So if we let them choose, so I would have students write down, well, name 2 or 3 people that you want to work with and why. They're my friend, I play sports with them, I go to church with them, I like them. They'll do all the work, whatever. They might not write that down, but they'll be thinking that, and then cross out those names and write 3 other names of people you may not know as well. Just come up with somebody else, in a respectful way and open manner. Go and find others to collaborate with. Now, if they wrote the names down and they turned them in, you might could group up students if that would be better. Or if it was just a quick collaboration, they may could go find some other people to work with. And you never know, they may find a new friend, they might find people, something interesting about somebody that they didn't know, or they wouldn't always go and work with. Or they may find a group that meshes well, that they would want to work with that same person again later. And then Won't You Be My Neighbor, and I kind of got it from Mr. Rogers. I used to watch that as a kid, and he was really inspiring, and I even watched his talks outside of the TV show, which were inspiring, is asking people from the local community to come in and to talk to the students. This can be via Zoom. I know people coming into the school can be kind of iffy sometimes, but via Zoom, through a letter, through other social media, just talking to people in the community and asking them to collaborate on a project. So sometimes it could be something as simple, maybe a special doorstop that they need in the business, or a sign. I know in my school we have a lab, and we can talk to other people in the community. We need a sign, we need this or that, and collaborate with those people. And those are your neighbors in your neighborhood. You don't realize it. I know when I was growing up, to be what did you want to be when you grow up? And it was 6 things to choose from. But now it's so much more. And it was then, we just didn't realize it. But it's so much more than students can choose to be, and professions they can go into that they don't know that's out there. And hooking up with a local community person could show them, well, I might could do this. And then you could post those results online, or the news, or just some type of way so they can see that their collaboration does make a difference and works well with other people in their neighborhood. All right, and then critical thinking. So it was predicted we're going to need 74,000 engineers in the next decade. And so that is a lot of students that we want to go into the engineering. We talked about diversity in engineering, more women in engineering, or just solving the problems that we don't even know exist yet. And that's another one of those things I have trouble wrapping my head around. What more can we have, or what more do we need to solve, and what more do we need the students to know? So it's hard, because I thought one day, I'm even doing a job that didn't exist when I was a student. There wasn't a STEM teacher that I can recall when I was in school, or there wasn't a robotics teacher dedicated, when I was in school, and maybe in some areas, but not just dedicated to that. So I'm even doing a job that wasn't even created yet when I was a bit younger. And critical thinking is that pondering of why something is happening, that curiosity, which is the theme of the conference, why is this happening? All right. So see, notice, and wonder is a strategy. And I looked at this, Project Zero is kind of where I got this from. So having students look at an image, watch a video, or look at an item that you bring in, or even read an article, and ask them what they notice. So maybe 3 to 5 notices. They may notice the color. They may notice how it looks. They may notice how it works if it's something that moves. And then maybe they can categorize this, like in a whole session, into the science. Well, what is the science behind this item? Or what is the science behind this image that you see? What is the technology? How did it go from the thought process into an actual product? The engineering, what did it take to make that? How did they make it? Who could have made it? Where could it be made from? What materials did you use? And then the math behind it. And this can be like a column or a table where students can just kind of see, oh, well, STEM is in all these areas. And I can be a STEM person if that's a thing, but STEM is everywhere. And then think about and discuss any wonderings. Well, I wonder if I change this, how would the product change? Or I wonder if the person did this in the video, what would have happened? So that is see, notice, and wonder. And then past, present, and future. It's basically taking a topic such as transportation. So about 100 years ago, we were maybe still in this country, horse and buggy or walking. That was transportation. So that would be the past. And in the present, we have cars and planes and trains and so forth. But what would the future be like? So I think according to the Jetsons, we should be in flying cars at this point, or maybe that was space or the future. Not quite in flying cars, but we do have self-driving cars, so almost there. So what do we think the future would be like? And it could be transportation, it could be healthcare. So what was healthcare like in the past? What is going on now in the future, in the present, and what will happen in the future? And they can really, really dive deep into some of those topics, tying it to your history, math, and your reading or ELA. And this could be chart paper. They can talk about it at their tables or in partners or in groups. All right, Chris. All right, give it a second before you hit. Everybody ready? Are we back in? All right, go ahead, Chris. A visual or audio platform used to communicate information about a topic. Projector, podcast, presentation in person. A visual audio platform used to communicate information about a topic. Projector, podcast, presentation in person. All right, so that was a repeat, and so you would see like this. Did the students remember it from earlier part of the presentation? And if they didn't, then you may go back to that slide, kind of talk about it some more. And I did this with integers, I believe, when I first did this one. All right, next. All right. The what-if strategy can be used to spark creative ideas, ancient ideas, silly ideas, critical ideas. The what-if strategy can be used to spark creative ideas, ancient ideas, silly ideas, or critical ideas. So that would be creative ideas, and it could kind of be more than the other ones, but for the purpose of the presentation, it will be creative ideas. All right, next. Critical thinking is making sure you explain your answer in the essay, working in groups together, pondering why something occurs or occurred. Critical thinking is making sure you explain your answer in the essay, pondering why something occurs or occurred, working in a group with others. So that would be the pondering why something occurs. And also what I did when I had Cahoots, we would stop if I see the students were on the track that I needed them to be on, and we would have a discussion about why we picked whatever answer we picked. I think I got out of order, so go ahead, next. Won't you be my neighbor encourages students to choose, create, collaborate, celebrate. Won't you be my neighbor encourages students to choose, create, collaborate, celebrate. And that would be collaborate. Thank you. All right, next. And then you got to watch the scoreboard. So a lot of students like to see the scoreboard. All right, next. Good job, Luke. All right, and then what are the 4 C's in relation to STEM? Communication, community, choice, celebrate. Critical thinking, collaboration, celebrate, and choice. Critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration. Choice, communication, creativity, community. All right, so that would be the blue. Critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. All right, next, please, on the game. And so you can have up to, I would normally do 20 questions. And so maybe a few more slides in the presentation and then a few repeat questions to try to solidify the learning from what we talked about. And then you have the podium. And sometimes I do prizes, sometimes I don't because I don't get them used to it. And I didn't bring any prizes, so sorry. I was so busy this week, I just couldn't. But good job, Tammy, Katie, and Luke. And then on the student side, I believe you can leave feedback. You can see the teacher can see the summary, like who got what questions correct or incorrect. And there is a paid version that gives you more bells and whistles, but this is the free. I don't use it as much as I used to, so I just stuck to the free version. All right, the slides, please. All right, so this kind of what I talked about is semi-free, or I used to call it free. It's not free. It's kind of semi-free platform, and it comes with a lot of options. So when it first came out, it was really basic. Now they have themes and backgrounds and all kind of fancy things. They have the monthly and yearly subscriptions. But I do like Kahoot, and I like Blind Kahoot, especially for that new topic and just to change up some things. And I also found that in gaming, you had to change up the game because the kids get really used to the same games quickly. So I had 2 or 3 games that I kind of went to introduce topics or to review topics. I didn't like it as much in math because unless it was math facts, it's hard for the students to process the problem so quickly. So I used to do vocabulary with math. All right, so the goal is to empower students to think and to solve problems. So I kind of like what Candace said this morning about just not getting too deep, but if the students are thinking and they're curious and asking questions, to me, that is the goal that I want my students to do. And we make projects, and they're not the greatest of projects. And sometimes I wonder, what did they learn and what did they get out of it? But like the other presenters were saying, and he was saying this morning, is they'll remember a lot of things, and they'll come back and say, "Do you remember this? What we made?" And I still have mine, and because I know I have a art or something I did in high school, and I kept it. It's in my mom's closet somewhere, but I kept it, and I remember creating that. So there's no perfect method. Ask the students questions. Don't be afraid to play or make mistakes. Just keep trying and again, like I don't know what the future holds and why I'm doing some things some days, but I know it'll pay off or one day. Here's my Twitter handle at TRN Holmes, and there's my email. And I think that is it. Yes, and that is all. Any questions or comments? So there are no questions or comments. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and have safe travels.